You say that you're going to provide significant assistance to Libya in its fight against ISIL. Would you consider committing boots on the ground, for example?
We are not planning for any kind of combat operation and any combat, also presence of NATO combat troops in Libya. That's not on the agenda at all. What we are doing is that we are planning, we are considering, looking into what we can do to support Libya, for instance, by building defense institutions and helping them with building their capacity to defend themselves. We have a very clear mandate from our heads of state and government that we shall stand ready to help and to assist the new Libyan government of national accord. I welcome the establishment of that government, but we will not do anything without a request from the government, and then we will sit down with them and discuss how we can support them.
Instability in Libya has led to a surge in human trafficking and also weapons smuggling. You said that you're going to enhance your presence in the Mediterranean. Could you just give us an idea about your plan of action when it comes to enhancing this presence?
So what we have seen is that NATO can play a key role when we are working with other actors. For instance, we saw that in the Aegean, where NATO decided to support the efforts of the European Union, and working with a NATO ally Turkey, together with Greece and the EU border agency Frontex, we have been very successful in contributing to the international efforts, cutting the lines of illegal trafficking of people. Now we are looking into whether we can expand some of these activities into the central parts of Mediterranean. That will be a different task, a different challenge. But NATO has assets, and we are also transforming our active endeavor operation in the Mediterranean to a broader maritime security operation, which can do many different things: surveillance, monitoring, securing also lines of free navigation, and also counter-terrorism. So there are many possibilities. We are now looking into them. I mean, again, this is about a dialogue with Libya, but also dialogue with the European Union.
NATO member states are active in the international coalition against ISIL in Iraq and Syria. Let me start with Iraq, as it prepares now for a major offensive against ISIL in Fallujah. You said that an assessment team is going to travel there. You're talking about sharing intelligence, training the Iraqi army, or would you consider troops again on the ground to help with these decisive battles in the future?
What NATO has started to do is that we have started to train Iraqi officers in Jordan, and that's a contribution to help Iraq fight ISIL. So that's a way we are supporting the efforts of the international coalition fighting ISIL. But Iraq has asked for increased support and also for support inside Iraq. Again, this is not about combat troops, but it's about NATO training Iraqi officers, Iraqi soldiers. And we will send an assessment team. We decided at our foreign ministerial meeting to send an assessment team to Iraq and to look into their requirements, their needs, and then find out how NATO can help them, because that's in our interest to enable Iraq to succeed in the fight against ISIL.
Despite the massive military campaign, airstrikes that have been going on for quite some time now in Iraq and Syria, ISIL still maintains its strongholds in Fallujah, in Mosul, in Deir ez-Zor and northern parts of Syria. What's the problem? Why haven't you been able to dismantle the military capabilities of ISIL?
When the coalition against ISIL was launched, it was very clearly stated that this will take time. This is a huge effort. But we have seen a lot of progress. ISIL have lost a lot of ground over the past months. And we have seen a very strong coalition. We have seen, of course, the US-led coalition, but we also seen the countries in the region stepping up and fighting ISIL. So I think we have to be prepared that this is something which will take time. But NATO allies are all participating, supporting. NATO is supporting the efforts of the coalition. But I think it's extremely important that we enable also countries in the region to do more, because this is not a fight between the West and the Muslim world. This is a fight against terrorists, and most of the victims are Muslims. And therefore I also welcome very much a very strong message from many Islamic leaders that they would do what it takes to fight ISIL, which is a terrorist organization.
Speaking of Iraq and Syria, we're talking about countries grappling with huge political problems, political impasse in Iraq, the need for an inclusive government, and the international community has been pushing for a political settlement in Syria. Aren't you concerned that a fight on its own or the military option won't be enough unless you have stability in both countries?
We need both military efforts. We need the military capabilities of the coalition of Iraq, of other forces to fight ISIL in the region, but we also need the political tools. And there is no contradiction between understanding the importance of military assets in the fight against ISIL, but at the same time understand that we need to seek a negotiated solution to the conflict in, for instance, Syria. For me, actually, there is a very close relationship. Strong military capabilities contributes to a political solution. So we have to pursue both paths at the same time.
Russia said that it's willing to start joint airstrikes with the Americans against certain groups in Syria. Do you think this is something that might work in the near future?
I think it would be wrong if I started to comment on that kind of operational issues, because this is a US-led coalition. They are conducting the airstrikes. This is not under any kind of NATO command. But what NATO does is that we support the efforts of the coalition fighting ISIL. We support our ally Turkey, which is affected very much by the turmoil, the violence in Syria and Iraq. And we have military NATO assets, assurance measures in Turkey, Patriot batteries, AWACS planes, surveillance planes, and other capabilities to support Turkey. And we are also building capacity in Jordan. We are building capacity in Tunisia. And we also, as I said, started to train Iraqi officers. That's our role, supporting the efforts of the coalition and countries in the region to fight ISIL.
This is going to be my last question to you, Mr. Secretary General. You said in your statement that you are willing to reach out to Russia, but at the same time that NATO is going to continue building it or beefing up its missile defense shield and also sending troops to the Baltic states. Aren't you concerned that this move could be seen by Russia as a sign that you're not genuine about diplomacy and that you're more into an aggressive role in the region?
The ballistic missile defense is not about Russia at all. It's about the threat we see coming from outside the Euro-Atlantic area. So that's not about Russia at all. And the missiles, they don't have the capabilities to undermine Russia's nuclear deterrent, their strategic ballistic missiles. Our enhanced forward presence in the eastern part of the alliance is defensive, it's proportionate, and it's full in line with our international commitments. And we do so because we have seen a more assertive Russia responsible for violating international law in Ukraine, illegally annexing Crimea. But we don't seek a confrontation. We don't want a new Cold War. And we convey a very strong message about that. Yes, NATO is a strong alliance. Yes, NATO is able to defend all allies against any threats. But at the same time, we are striving for a more cooperative and constructive relationship with Russia, because we believe in the long run it's also in Russia's interest to cooperate with NATO, not confront us.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Secretary General.
Thank you.
Thank you.